Today, I'm going to tell you about the time I showed up to one of my active renovations and found a squatter passed out on the back porch. And then, when I called the cops to remove her, they tried to make her my tenant instead. So, I was doing this renovation in a relatively rough part of Baltimore. In hindsight, this is a street that I probably wouldn't buy a house on, but it is what it is. This is where we were. So it wasn't my first rodeo with tough neighborhoods, but this particular property had been giving us problems. We'd had multiple break-ins during the renovation, which is frustrating because you're already spending money. Now you're losing tools and materials on top of it. But one day, when I show up to the property and I go look onto the back porch, a woman I have never seen before in my life is passed out on a mattress in my enclosed back porch. I don't know her. She doesn't know me. She doesn't have any business being there. I start yelling, trying to wake her up. Nothing. She's completely unresponsive. So I call the cops. The cops show up and they can't wake her up either. They've got Narcan and everything ready to go, and they're about to administer it when she wakes up on her own. And immediately the cops relax. Cool, she's awake, right? Have a good day. And they start moving towards the door. And I'm standing there like, she's still in my house. So I say, hey, can you make her leave? And that's when things really got interesting. So the cops start asking her questions. Ma'am, do you live here? Do you stay here regularly? And I'm standing right there. I own this house. I've never seen this woman before in my life. She is on a mattress on the back porch of a house that is actively under renovation. The cops themselves called an ambulance for her, and they're asking her if she lives there. She's stumbling through her words. She doesn't really know what to say, and she says she doesn't live there. And I'm like, okay, great. So make her leave. They say, well, hold on just a moment. Ma'am, we're just asking if this is where you stay. If this is your home, just let us know. And that's the moment where it clicked for me what was actually happening. Here's what they're doing. If she says that she doesn't live there, they have to get her to leave. And they have to deal with a potentially uncooperative individual and all of this. But if she says she lives there, despite the fact that she's on the back porch, it becomes a civil dispute between an occupant and a landlord. She potentially becomes a common law tenant, and I can't physically remove her. I would have to go to court and file a wrongful detainer suit and wait months for a court date. And in the meantime, she would have the rights to the house. For the cops, it's simple. Domestic dispute, not a criminal matter. Good night, see you later, on with our day. They weren't trying to help her. They weren't trying to help me. They were trying to go home. So now I'm watching them ask her the same question 4 different ways, hoping she'll change her answer. Well, I'm standing there right there telling them I don't know this woman. She kept saying she didn't live there. And eventually they had no choice. They told her she had to leave. She said none of the stuff on the porch was hers, so we threw it all away and boarded up the house, and that was that. The takeaway here is a couple things. One, don't buy houses on terrible streets where you can have lots of break-ins. That goes without saying. But 2 is understand what the incentives are of the cops, because you may call them and they may not actually be on your side in the way that you'd expect. The legal system is designed to protect occupants, even ones with no business being there. And if you don't know that, going into these situations, you can lose thousands of dollars to someone sleeping on your porch. I got lucky in that situation that she didn't know how the legal system was set up either. If she had just said yes, this whole situation would have been completely different. Other takeaways are to go see a house multiple times before you buy it. I only saw this house once, and it was at 6 a.m. in the morning. And because of that, I didn't see a lot of obvious signs of negative activity that was going on in the surrounding area. And it's good to make sure that your properties have alarm systems and things like that if you are concerned about the area. Sometimes even if you're not, to make sure these sort of things get headed off before they even happen. Ultimately, this deal has been fine. We collect about $1,750 of rent on the house. The mortgage is $1,100. The tenant is good and he works close by and likes the area. There's even some signs of the area improving. Some of the other properties on the street have been renovated. There's detached homes right across the street from the property. But if that gentrification doesn't happen, it's just going to always be a hard house to rent, and it's always going to be a scary vacancy whenever it does go vacant because we will be worried about break-ins. So a lot of lessons learned from that house. Ultimately, it's kind of an okay house, but it was just interesting learning the incentives of the cops and that they don't always do what you're expecting when you call them.